Hi everyone. In this video, we'll be looking at how non-engineers can beat engineers in the CAT. Now, I myself come from a non-engineering background, so I've prepared a bunch of points from my own experiences, not just experiences as a student, but also as a mentor. Okay, so I'll be talking about three things primarily in some detail, and I'll leave you with some final tips as well. Let's get started. Now, before we come to the points, we should get a little bit of an introduction to this whole debate and this whole topic. Why do people normally think that engineers have an advantage in the CAT compared to non-engineers? Okay, so the common belief, of course, is that engineers are better at quant. And why is this common belief there? Because engineers have much more experience with maths. They've studied maths more in their engineering entrance exam preparation days during their undergraduation. And because of that, people think that engineers are very good at maths, we can't compete with them. And we are at a disadvantage. Okay, now why this is not a very simple debate, why this is not completely true, is because engineering maths is not exactly the same as CAT Quant. CAT Quant is very different, not just with respect to the topics or the important areas, but also the kind of methods that are required to solve them. Engineering maths questions might require a lot of technical methods, a lot of equations, variables, and so on. Whereas CAT, we look for smarter, faster methods because we have very limited time in the CAT. Okay, so it's not really a very straightforward conclusion or straightforward argument that engineers are better at maths. That's not exactly true. And if you take a survey of a lot of engineers, every engineer will not feel very good at maths. Okay, the same way that not every non-engineer thinks that he is bad at maths. So anyway, of course, there will always be exceptions in both categories. But here we'll focus more on the majority, the stereotypical majority where engineers are considered to be better at maths. Now, first of all, as we've seen, engineering maths, not the same as CAT Quant. And of course, with respect to VRC and DILR, engineers don't have any special advantage. VRC, in fact, many engineers are not even very comfortable with. That is mostly dependent upon reading experience. Okay, so engineers or non-engineers, it all matters how much reading experience you have. And DILR is new for most people because you don't study DILR in school, college. We study English and maths, but not really DILR. So VRC, DILR, people start at around the same level. But quant is the major area, so we'll focus more on quant today. Now, after looking at all of this, that VRC, DILR, of course, people are around the same level and quant is not the same as engineering maths, we can say that it is possible for non-engineers to beat engineers in the CAT. Okay, now let's see how that can be possible. What steps would be required? So if you look at the first thing is, of course, to adopt CAT-friendly methods. Prepare for the exam that you will be taking. Don't prepare in the same way that you prepared for school exams, for college exams. CAT is a different exam. It's a competitive aptitude test. So prepare accordingly. Now, what I mean by this is, if I talk about engineers are used to technical approaches, as I said. They are used to equations, to multiple variables, to solving everything technically, taking multiple steps. And all of that, with respect to engineering maths, that would have been fine, because the questions were also pretty advanced, pretty difficult, where you didn't really have very shortcut approaches, where you didn't have smart approaches. But that is not the case for CAT. So in the CAT, we will look for shorter, faster solutions so that we can solve more questions in that very limited time of 40 minutes. Okay, so this is where if engineers are stuck to the same methods that they are used to, because they've used those kinds of methods a lot before in the past, so they'd find it difficult to change. Whereas if you're coming fresh to maths, like after a gap of a few years, or if you haven't been that much exposed to those technical methods, then you will find it more easy to adapt to the kind of methods which are required for the CAT. And in order to do this, you should be learning the best methods from experienced mentors. Okay, because everyone will not even know these methods, everyone will not even be able to teach it very well. So this is where you should be looking for mentors who are experienced. Experienced, of course, in teaching and also experienced at doing well in the CAT themselves. Okay, so learn the best methods from the best mentors. And this is how you'll be able to make sure that you are solving the quant questions in the fastest possible manner, whereas people using the technical approaches are taking a lot of time. That will give you a big advantage. Now, apart from this, after learning the best methods, make sure that you practice similar questions and revise them, because it's never enough just to watch a mentor explain. I can explain something, but if you just watch me explain, you will become good at understanding. You will not really become good at solving questions yourself. Now, with respect to this, I want to make an announcement. Recently, I've recorded videos for a best of CAT series. So if you come back to the IMS channel in the next few days, you'll see best of CAT videos, arithmetic videos. So those will be actual CAT questions, and I've shown you the best ways of solving them. So you'll see the traditional method, why that is very time consuming, not convenient. And then you'll see the better methods that we could have used to get a big advantage in the CAT. Okay, so that is directly related to this point. So make sure that you come back to the IMS channel and check out the best of CAT series. Now, the next point I want to be talking about is following the right test taking strategy. This is where a lot of people fall short, engineers and non-engineers. Now, of course, engineers face a particular difficulty here with respect to Quant, which is that engineers often find it difficult to skip questions in Quant. They look at the first question in the test, the first Quant question, and they want to attempt that. They spend time on that. They look at the second question, they want to attempt that also. Now again, I'm not talking about every engineer, but some of them. And why is this? This is because of confidence in their ability to solve all the questions. It can be. Like the engineers who are actually good at maths, they might feel that I can solve all the questions or almost all the questions. And they're not incorrect in that. They might be able to. Because CAT Quant is not actually very, very difficult. Even the difficult questions, if you compare it with questions engineers are used to from their engineering days, these would not really be called difficult. So they are definitely solvable by people who are good at maths. Okay, but then the problem, of course, would be that you don't have infinite time in the CAT. You have very limited time, and difficult questions take a lot of time to solve. So an engineer who is confident about his or her ability in Quant, if they look at the first question in the exam and they start solving that, they might end up taking too much time. They might be able to solve it. They might get the marks. But let's say if they take 4 minutes to solve a difficult question. In that same 4 minutes, if you solve 2 easier questions, who's getting more marks? Who's getting the advantage? So this is a mistake I've seen a lot of engineers make, where they miss out on easy questions towards the end of the paper because they're spending too much time on difficult questions towards the first half of the paper. So if you do things differently, in the exam, if you're very, very focused on the easiest questions first, and then you come back to the moderate questions, skip the difficult questions, make sure that you're never stuck on a question for too long. You'll get a big advantage over engineers who might be better than you at maths, but who will not get more marks than you in the CAT. And of course, remember that CAT doesn't award extra marks for difficult questions. So if you're solving an easy question or a difficult question, you get the same marks. So it makes sense to target the easy questions first. Now, as I've already said, build the habit of targeting easy questions first in every test. So for this, make sure that you're taking a lot of tests. That is the key. Now, the next point I want to be talking about is to ensure that you don't skip any topic. I'll come to the next overall point, but before this, something very important. See, if you're making sure that you are targeting easy questions first, you have to make sure that you're comfortable with every topic, because easy questions can appear from any topic. Okay, so don't skip any topic. See, I understand if you're a non-engineer, because I've been there will be topics that you will find difficult, very difficult, topics related to graphs, for example, or functions. So you might find it difficult. That's natural, that's normal. But if you skip the topics that you find difficult, you might incur a big disadvantage in the CAT. Because what if there are easy questions from the topics you've skipped? You'll be missing out on them. Other people will be solving them. You'll miss out on those easy marks. So don't skip any topic. Anything that you find difficult, at least solve it, revise it to the point where you can comfortably solve the easy questions at least. You don't have to become an expert at them, but you have to make sure that you don't miss out on the easy questions, and revision will be the key for the difficult topics. And of course, the stronger topics, the more important topics, you can make sure that those are your strength. so that you can even solve moderate questions from them. Now, if I come to the next overall point, the last overall point, it is to prioritize. So see, after completing the syllabus, don't skip any topic. And once you've completed the syllabus, prioritize the more important areas. Because CAT, you would have seen in recent years, in Quant especially, there are two areas which generally dominate the Quant section, which are arithmetic and algebra. So you have to make sure that you are very comfortable with them, easy and moderate questions. Okay, and see here, don't waste time solving highly advanced questions from topics like probability and remainders. Now, this is something that many engineers do. I've seen it year after year, because they find these topics interesting. Topics like probability, PNC, remainders, they find it very interesting. They are interesting, but they don't have a very high weightage in the CAT. Probability has not been asked in years. It can still be asked, okay, but chances are low, probability is low. Remainders is something that was not asked for many years. Then suddenly it was asked recently. But the question that was asked was not actually difficult. You did not need to know highly advanced concepts like Chinese remainder theorem or Euler's theorem or Fermat's theorem or Wilson's theorem. Basic understanding of remainders, basic practice would have been enough. Okay, even PNC, if you look at, you don't normally get very difficult questions. They're usually easy to moderate. If you get a difficult question, you can definitely skip it. Okay, so it would be a waste of time to focus or prioritize areas which have not been tested much in the CAT in recent years, or even if they've been tested, they've not been tested at a very advanced level. Okay, so make sure that you're not focusing on your interest, but you're focusing on what the CAT is interested in. So focus especially on arithmetic and algebra, as I said, and numbers as well. You do get a good number of questions related to numbers. But make sure that you're not neglecting geometry and modern maths as well. Make sure that you're comfortable with all of those topics so that you don't miss out on easy questions from them. Okay, let engineers solve very advanced questions on probability and PNC. You make sure that you're utilizing your time efficiently by prioritizing the important areas. So these are the three things I wanted to talk about primarily: adopting the CAT-friendly methods, following the right test-taking strategy, and prioritizing. All of this can give you an advantage over engineers. Now I'll leave you with some final thoughts. So some final tips. First of all, make sure that you're getting daily practice with each and every section, not just your favorite one. See, this is the mistake that both engineers and non-engineers make. Non-engineers who are comfortable with VRC, they will focus more on VRC. If they're comfortable with DILR, they focus more on DILR. Engineers comfortable with Quant might solve Quant consistently, but not the other sections. And of course, this will be a problem because every section contributes to the overall score. And IMs, you have those sectional cutoffs as well. So make sure that you're getting practice daily with each section, like one set of DILR, one set of RC, maybe 7 Quant questions every day. More on the days when you have more time. 2 sets of DILR, 2 sets of RC, 10 Quant questions. If you do this every day, you'll be improving consistently at each and every section. Stronger one also, weaker one also. Okay, so this will ensure that you have the best chance of maximizing your overall score. The next thing that you should focus on is building a reading habit. See, VRC is something that many engineers face difficulty, many non-engineers as well. Okay, but engineers, especially if you ask them, many of them will be comfortable with Quant, but not so much with VRC. So this is where you can get a big advantage. And it's very important to be comfortable with reading for VRC. So start reading newspapers on a daily basis, start reading Aeon essays, books, and make sure that you're solving RCs also consistently. And when you're solving RCs, focus on option elimination, focus on making sure that you are deriving information from the passage, not assuming things yourself. If you do all of this, you can get a big advantage in VRC, which has historically been a very scoring section in the CAT. Next, start taking mocks early, because the test taking strategy, as I said, that is very, very important. See, on the day of the CAT, what matters less is how much you've practiced, and what matters more is how sorted is your test taking strategy. Of course, practice is important. You need to practice a lot. But if you compare 2 people, one of them might have practiced more, one of them might have practiced less. But if the person who's practiced less has perfected the test taking strategy, through a lot of mocks, that person will probably do better in the CAT because they'll be able to perform better, even if they might not have that much knowledge as the other person. Okay, so start taking mocks early. The SimCAT should begin in April. Make sure that you're taking every SimCAT during the test taking window. When the SimCATs begin, start taking one SimCAT every week, every Sunday. And that test taking experience will provide you a great advantage on the day of the CAT. And last thing is master the previous year questions, especially of the recent years. Last 4 years, last 5 years, make sure that after you complete the syllabus, you're solving all of them, spending quality time with them and revising them. And again, this is where the best of CAT series, which will be coming out very soon. We already have videos for it from before, but new videos which I've recorded recently, they will be released very soon. So they will have previous year questions that you can learn good methods for, master them, and do that for other questions as well. Okay, and instead of random extreme questions which many engineers spend time with, which I've already discussed. Okay, questions which are too extreme from random sources, which have a very, very low chance of being tested in the CAT. Even if they are tested, they are meant to be skipped. Don't waste time on those. Focus on quality material, focus on IMS material, focus on actual CAT previous year questions, and then you will be ensuring that you are getting the best possible practice. Okay, so that is it from my side. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to post them in the comment section and I'll be happy to help you out. All the best.